Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
Well, the cost of a cup of coffee is on the rise as extreme weather hits global coffee supplies in Brazil and Vietnam. But our next guest says that a respite is on the way for Java lovers. He expects prices to actually fall this year. And joining us now, I'm thrilled to say we have Andrea Illy. He is illycafe chairman. Illycafe, of course, is an Italian coffee company specializing in espresso. Great to have you with me. So you said in late March that you expect a decline in coffee prices coming in the second half of 2024. In late May, is that still your view?
I cannot say that at the specs because the market is becoming more and more unpredictable. In the past, the trend was similar, that in this season, the prices were coming down. But there are many reasons to sustain a higher price because more and more financial markets rely upon triggers for price surges. And in this case, climate that you mentioned is the main one, particularly excessive rains in Brazil and drought in Vietnam, which are the two most important coffee-producing countries.
It's interesting. I mean, when you think about sort of the volatility that we've seen, it's really been focused, my understanding is on Robusta prices. I know that Illy uses Arabica beans, but how has what we're seeing with Robusta translated over into the type of beans that you actually use?
Usually there is an arbitrage between Arabica and Robusta, which makes the Arabica price at least 25% higher than Robusta, which also reflects a higher quality in the cup. For some reason, which are probably linked specifically to the offer and demand, Robusta coffee is used for a certain type of industry like instant coffee and some more, let's say, entry-level coffees in the market, which probably, let's say, did not decide to replace Robusta coffee with Arabica, although there is a price advantage. It's a quite unique as a dynamic in the market. It didn't happen in the past.
Well, you touch on what I've been wondering. For those who perhaps use the Robusta beans, I mean, how easy is it to actually switch to using a different type of less expensive bean, or is that sort of impossible in this environment?
Well, what typically happens is the opposite phenomenon, that because Arabica coffee is the more premium, when the market prices are lower, the percentage of Arabica coffee used in blends increases so that you can, let's say, have a better consumer, let's say, response. And when the cost goes up, then you use more Robusta, which is cheaper. This time is not what is happening now, probably because for certain kind of preparation, like I already mentioned, instant coffee, Robusta is more important.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, looking into the future, like you said, it's been difficult to predict with confidence about where prices are going to actually go. But what does the actual supply-demand look like? It feels like a lot of this is playing out on the supply side rather than the demand side, so to speak.
The supply and demand is in balance. But balance means that one year might be a little deficit, the year after is a little surplus, and if you make the average, you are more or less in balance. Stocks levels, as a consequence of this unstable dynamic, are low, and this is a significant, let's say, driver for price increases. But in the background, there is climate change, because there is the expectation, and not only for coffee, that yes, climate change definitely impacts coffee agriculture, and that there is less reliability in the supply. And this, let's say, commands probably a higher baseline. We will be able to understand if the baseline, which used to be maybe $1 until 15 years ago. Then it moved up to 120, then 150. Now probably the baseline is more around 180. But we will need the statistics, maybe few months or years down the road to really understand if, as a consequence of climate change expectation, the baseline increases, which would completely revert the multi-annual deflationary trend of all agricultural commodities.
And of course, I mean, it's not just coffee that we're seeing this, coffee beans. You're also seeing the effects of climate change and just extreme weather in the likes of cocoa, for example, has been a big story this year. So that's sort of the macro look, the broad brushstrokes industry look. I want to talk a little bit about your business, because you think about your first ready-to-drink cold brew. You introduced that back in 2020. You expanded that line in 2022 with more products. Really curious to hear how that line is doing relative to hot coffee.
Well, really good. So cold brew is very fashionable. There is a strong response, particularly from younger generations. It's also a good way to drink more coffee summertime. Our effort is extremely disciplined because Illy is famous for the Illy blend, because the best possible quality can be only one. So this is why Illy offers only one blend, the only roaster in the world with that strategy. And the cold brew is based on the exact Illy blend that you can enjoy freshly brewed espresso or cappuccino wherever in the market. And matching also the taste profile. This has been the big effort. And we are happy with the quality that we, reached in terms of taste consistency, and now we expect for this market to grow.
All right, I have to say I drink a lot of coffee and almost 90% of it is cold brew, so there's some anecdata there. Andrea, really enjoyed this conversation. Appreciate you joining us. That, of course, is Andrea Illy of illycafe.